What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Central Virginia Sport Performance Podcast. As always, my name is Jay DeMeo, and I am super excited to be able to catch up with my good buddy from across the pond today, Henk Kraaijehnof. Henk, it's great to see you, brother.
Yes. Jay, good to see you after a long time.
Yeah, man. Even better, as you know, we're going to get to here. More excited to be able to see you face to face coming up here April 29th and 30th up in Pittsburgh, PA for the first edition of the Seminar Pittsburgh. Really excited to have you as part of that, bud.
Absolutely. I'm excited as well. It has been too long, and I always enjoyed being around you and being around the people that are motivated, that are driven, that are eager, that are curious, like your group. I probably told you before, but your meeting at in Richmond is one of the best, no, probably the best seminars I've ever attended as a speaker and as a attendant. So yeah, and I've been around the block from China to Australia to lectures everywhere, but yours is definitely organization-wise and the whole atmosphere, it was perfect. So I hope Pittsburgh will be the same.
Well, big shoes to fill, Todd Hammer. If you heard that, you know, the people at Union Fitness, we're coming in hot now after what Henk just said. So, but before we get into all of that stuff, I mean, I think what's really cool is what you been up to? Like, what's been going on? What in the coaching world has Henk been doing?
Yeah, but basically, coaching-wise, I took a sabbatical after all for 14 years. I've seen it all, I've done it all that I wanted to do. Maybe I could do more, but that I wanted to do. And then I started coaching again in 2018, starting coaching the daughter of one of my former athletes, just for fun, as a matter of fact. And soon after, I got an invitation to come to Kazakhstan as a coach. Now, Kazakhstan, try to find it on the map. It's easy because it's a huge country with not too many people. It's a beautiful country, and it has a good history of sport. It has many Olympic champions as well. Although at that time it was part of the Soviet Union, now they're independent and want to increase the level of sports independent of that former Soviet Union status. So they're working hard on that. I had the privilege to work with a former Olympic champion in triple jump, Olga Ripakova. She was Olympic champion in 2012, and some other elite athletes. So I traveled back and forth between Holland and Kazakhstan. I spent quite some time there. Different experience, I must say, different culture, mainly based on the knowledge and the experience of the former Soviet Union, of course. That was the education of the coaches there. Many female coaches, though. At least 50% of the coaches is female, ook in strength and conditioning in any sport. So I think that's a good thing. So I'm in the process, I think, of going back of setting up the coaches education for track and field or for athletics in Kazakhstan. And meanwhile, I just had time to work and study, like always, come up with many, I find, interesting things. Maybe you think different, but I found quite a lot of interesting things thanks to the information sources in Kazakhstan as well. So that's what I've been up to, and I'm on the track still every day with my athlete or in contact with my athletes in Kazakhstan on a daily basis.
Well, let's get a couple things out of the way real quick. First of all, Nellie's not just any athlete. Like, Nellie was
no. It's not. Yeah, that's true. Nellie used to be twice world champion and world record holder in the 60-meter dash in the 1980s and 90s. Her daughter is a gifted athlete, but I would almost say jokingly, unfortunately, too smart to be a very good athlete. You know, you shouldn't be too smart. She's an extremely intelligent young lady, very motivated also. And well, if you coach the mother and the daughter, I think in my future I will always coach the children of what her name is Ronel, also her children. So I coached 3 generations there, but she has to hurry up a little bit, you know. And so, so the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter. That would be cool.
Yeah, and then I think that, you having that opportunity in Kazakhstan has been really cool because it's allowed you to do kind of like Henk things, like be in
Absolutely.
a new place, finding new like ways that they do things, both like not just training and things athletics related, but when it comes to foods and nutrition and supplementation and different things that
Absolutely.
they have growing there that are like helpful maybe or not, and then it allows Henk to be kind of Henk the scientist. I think is really cool.
Absolutely. I know you know the supplement Mumio, probably. Mumio. Well
Yeah,
known
somebody
from the
told me
former
about that
Russian.
when I had my knee surgery.
Hey, absolutely, absolutely. The Mumio. Okay. Normally you buy it in a little in capsules or whatever form, and I had the pleasure to be able to find it in nature. There's black gooey stuff from the like chewing gum, uh, coming from the mountains. The mountain tears is the other name of it. So I had the pleasure to go into the countryside, deep into the countryside, and find it in some hidden spots. It's not something you buy in a shop. It's something you can find in nature. So the raw mumio and see the whole process. So I'm using it quite a lot, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah, I was making, what's it called, Pure Black or Pure Black.
Pure black, yes.
Yeah, putting it in hot water, stirring it up like a tea every morning, and it was.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if that was the magic cure or what, but it, knock on wood, knees still bending and extended at this point, so I can't be too disappointed in the results that we got with it.
No, you never know, but the research has been done already in Russia in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Of course, it's in the Russian language at the time, and it was kind of not kind of confidential at that time. It was a kind of a Russian state secret for the athletes and astronauts and sick people. But they did the test, the placebo group and the experimental group. So they know they sad to tell, but they broke the bones of rats and mice, and then some mice they gave the mumio, and other mice they didn't give it, and of course you could see that the ones who got the mumio healed 2 or 3 times faster than the other one. So the research has been done. That they're not going to do it all over again.
Yeah, and I can say
That's only
firsthand.
one of the things. Also,
Mhm.
the fact that you live that you coach in a country where unfortunately I don't know in Fahrenheit, but the temperatures can be 40 degrees Celsius in summer, which is scorching hot, and minus 50 degrees in winter, which is really, really, really cold. I mean, you have to go to Alaska, Canada to experience that kind of cold. So in summer you're in Florida, and in winter you're in Alaska. So basically that's the comparison.
Yeah, unfortunately, you'd probably want to do the opposite. You
Yeah.
probably want to have the winters in Florida and the summers in Alaska when it comes to training for track and field.
Yes, absolutely. But there wasn't much choice. But of course, when you have a winter of so cold for 6 months, then you should have good indoor facilities, which all its pros and cons of working in an indoor facility. And working with athletes, I used to work with sprinters mainly, and I worked with many other sports. But this time I had a girl who was doing the triple jump, so I had to find out and develop new exercises, especially for her for a triple jump. So that was a challenge to come up with new exercises and new exercise methodology for that event.
Yeah, and then I think the other cool thing with all of that is this new project that you've got going, where you're running the education for these younger up and coming coaches and for the entire staff that they have out there working with these people that again have had success in really the not so distant past and
Yeah.
can help you know really drive the next level of athletes through helping coaches be better.
Yeah, it's good to have a new generation of coaches coming up. The average age of the coaches is, I must say, pretty old. They're the old coaches educated in the Soviet system from the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. So they're uh, almost my age. So they're really old. And the experience, and don't forget that Kazakhstan is, they say, well, we're in the middle of between Europe and Asia. In reality, they're far away from Europe and they're far away from Asia. So they're quite isolated. So they're thinking about training and coaching and methodology didn't develop, because now, of course, there's internet and everything, but it used to be limited. So try to expand their knowledge a little bit, and at least I try to help.
Yeah, but I think the one thing that's really cool with all of this is, having Henk running the education and development for international coaches it's almost like, I don't know, this phrase I heard once, helping the best to get better.
Yeah. That somebody told me when I tried to answer the question, what do you do? And I couldn't come up with the answer because I have a wide scope of activities and interest. So I said, well, basically what you do is helping the best to get better. And then in all aspects, it could be CEOs, it could be special forces operators, it could be athletes, it could be performing artists, people who are on television every day. So yeah, helping the best to get better. I think that's a nice expression. It covers it all.
Yeah, and I think if you put .com at the end of it, it would be a great website.
It could be.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't get the joke, go ahead and hit pause, open up your internet app and type helpingthebestgetbetter.com, and it'll take you to Henk's website, where you're going to find a lot of really awesome, mind-provoking blog posts and information that he shares on the regular. It's really, really good stuff. And, it's just a testament to what you're doing, man. And I'm fired up to have you back here. I'm fired up that you've got these opportunities. This is really cool. I think that I don't know if there's anybody that I would be more excited to hear them building a curriculum right now than you, because I think that there's going to be so many unique things, with what you're putting together to help coaches. I hope they understand what they're getting in for.
I hope so too, but I can't promise anything.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, listen, Henk, let's get to the big three here and start talking about some stuff when it comes around the seminar here, man. But first, this portion of the podcast is brought to you by Eccentric. Eccentric is the world leader in flywheel technology, and this year is celebrating 10 years of being just that. The addition of the Eccentric K-Box and K-Pulley to both our return to sport and general physical preparation programs have had immense positive effects on our athletes. For more information or check out the awesome catalog of products that Eccentric provides, hop on over to eccentric.com today and make sure you let them know that CVASPS sent you. All right. So, Henk, the big three, we've asked these of everybody. You've actually answered these twice. So I'm interested to see how these answers maybe have changed in the time that we've known each other. But before we get, going into the rest, let's talk a little bit about some mistakes you see made in the performance world, right? Whether it be in America or around the world, because you've been, to China and back and all over Europe and Asia. So what are some of these things that you see that, maybe we can correct, and how do you feel like we could correct some of these issues?
Well, first of all, I don't think the word mistake is really appropriate. It's only a mistake when the reason, you can only say afterwards if things are a mistake. I always used to be an examinator of courses and classes, and then people came up with how to make a training program for an athlete or for a team sport. And on paper, it looked fantastic, but then no mistakes there according to the book. But in reality, it didn't work. They never produced any decent athlete, or the team always failed miserably. On the other hand, I've seen very simple programs said, dude, this is too simple to be true. This cannot work, and work perfect. And as coaches that whose approach you might call a mistake or an error, and in the end, they produce world champions and Olympic champions. So you can always, the proof is in the pudding, as the British say. The real proof is do the people have results or not? Of course, there's other factors involved. There's a luck factor. There's a talent and genetic factor. There's excellent coaches who never get a real talent in their hands because they live in an isolated country, isolated place, and nobody wants to go there. So even if their thoughts are correct, and even if their programs are perfect, they don't bring the elite athletes that everybody wants to bring. But that is another course, so you have to take that into account as well. Now, if we look at, of course, the last 2-3 years also further developed my thinking about what could we improve. It's not that things are going so bad, but what pisses me off that things could be so much better. Like I spoke a little bit over Kazakhstan, that they were isolated and didn't have much information. Now, for most coaches, they're having too much information at hand. They have the internet, and especially, of course, during the COVID lockdown. And so what do you do? Google and find things, and look at podcasts, and look. You get so much information. There's an overload of information. So in the end, you're suffering from the stress of choosing who's right. So don't only listen to the stories, because what coaches and in sport, we're very good in selling ourselves. If an athlete succeeds, it was, of course, according to the plan that I developed 3-4 years ago. My plan perfectly worked out. If you would have asked me 3-4 years ago, I wouldn't have a clue. So the plan developed afterwards, not before. Before I was just doing something and I was just lucky, and afterwards it was this perfectly organized and structured plan that I had. I came up with that in retrospect. So people are very good, and coaches in selling stuff, especially from the US. It's a powerhouse in sports, and the most Olympic medals come from the US. That's number one. Number two, sports is very popular. They have very, very good coaches, but the problem here is the flip side of this coin is that we tend to believe everything they say. There's no country in the world where so many fitness gurus come from. Gurus, people that you believe, people have a very sharp approach, and everything else is like, okay, kind of stupid. They are right. They have a monopoly on being right all the time. And some of them never coached a decent athlete in their lives. And they're the gurus. The second one you see is because everybody is looking for, especially in the fitness industry, for a kind of a niche, something there nobody else can do, something they're very good at. And they're the specialist, the expert, the specialist. And of course, that's killing everything, because number one, they focus only on one point and try to sell it as being the most important factor in performance, and it just isn't. And well, there's many examples of that. And the third thing is that where does our information come from? And I even wrote a blog post about where does our information as coaches come from? It mainly comes from the fitness industry. And the word industry tells you that there's hardly any personal attention, no tailor-made program. It's an industry that is targeted towards getting people in your gym. Well, and it started all the way back from, let me say, Jane Fonda, Buns of Steel, to Taibo, Reebok, Step. All the fitness trends come from fitness. And fitness is just to get the average Joe to get fitter. That seems to be an easy task. Or maybe not. I don't see the fitness of the average American increase in the last 30 years. So that's harder, probably harder than I think it is. But not towards the training of elite athletes, because elite athletes are genetic freaks, are exceptions, are rare people. And what applies to the average Joe might not apply to the average person. It also brings back fourth point is lack of critical thinking. And with that comes also lack of respect for what happened in the past. And something, okay, it's very important to have core stability. No, okay. So you can engage athletes for many, many hours with core stability only. Core stability is millions of exercises for core stability. You enter a gym, or a physical therapy practice now, you see people working on core stability with unstable loads and on balls and everything, surfaces, everything. You ask yourself, how would people who didn't even know what core stability is, how could they perform that well in the past? Many Olympic champions, world record holders still didn't even know what core stability was. So was the core stability already okay before they performed so well? Or was it just lousy core stability, and core stability has nothing to do with their performances? Look at injury prevention. We have never seen so many injuries, and it's increasing every year with 2 or 3%. There are people getting injured, despite all our efforts to work on prevention. Like core stability is what one says a good tool to work on injury prevention. So the critical thinking, and I'm pretty critical, I must say. I'm trying to be self-critical as well, and always doubt myself, and what I say now might not be true or might be completely ridiculous in 10 years from now. So it has a limited value. The expiry date of my sayings and my thoughts and my concepts, well, how long is it? In 10 years from now? Things, because there's knowledge and there's experience that increases all the time. So those are 4 important things. I think critical thinking with the gurus, the critical thinking went out the door, out of the door. It's over out of the window. It's like, yeah, but you know, this guy said he wrote 3 books about it. He said that this isn't true. So people think, okay, does he have the right to say that? Why does he say that? Is it really true? Are you sure this is true? What are your own experiences? So people, gurus are there to be followed. And I don't follow any guru. I just read and everything. I listen to them. But there is always a filter of criticism. What do you call it? Normal, logical thinking. I'm not overwhelmed by somebody come up with a great concept. Today I got an email, interesting, by a guy said, yeah, a movie star and another athlete and myself are using this great machine. It's a vibration platform. It's a boost your energy. It will burn your fat. Dude, in 2002, I wrote a book about it, and I kind of was critical about it as well. I want to say there's a sucker born every minute, and there's a cook born every hour to take care of 60 suckers. Being presented old shit, being presented as new. Why? Because people have no idea of history, what happened 10 or 20 years ago. They live by the internet, and everything that's older than 2 years is already old and not worth knowing. And this is the biggest threat for young coaches. So that's in a nutshell 4 things that I encountered in the past in general. Of course, it doesn't apply to everybody. There's people who are studying day and night, who experiment, who are very critical also. But it's just in general where I think there's a lot of improvement to be made for coaches. Be critical, also critical about whatever I say. I try to back it up with data, with results, with more than stories. But you always keep an eye open and respect the opinion of other people as well, because they might have much better result than I have. So who am I to say this is my truth? This might be my truth and not somebody else's.
No, 100%, man. I think that the biggest thing with that critical thinking idea is to be mostly critical of your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned professionally throughout these 2 years is like kind of being the hermit and hiding by myself when it comes to the work that I do with the teams I get to work with. It kind of put me in a box and you know, bringing in a team of people to, I don't know, kind of snap me back to reality and be like, you know, there's we could do this instead, and allowing yourself to be wrong. Well, maybe wrong's the incorrect term. Allow yourself to be influenced by people around you and to listen to different, you know, points of view. I think are really kind of lost arts. And you know, we've talked about this, and you've talked about this in particular. Like, you know, it's kind of like coaching FOMO, right? And the fear of having to get everything done, and we got to do, like, almost like coaches would rather do more than win.
Yeah.
We'd rather outwork teams than beat them, in a sense. Obviously, like, it's not really what we want to do, but in a sense, like, just for our egos and our kind of feeling of safety and self-worth. So being able to sit there with a group and be like, let's tear this apart and, you know, rebuild the building, can be challenging.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Well, coaching is a balancing act. Like many things, coaching is a balancing act, let's say, in technical sense, between conditioning, technical, tactical, mental. Conditioning between strength and endurance. Strength between explosive strength and maximum strength. Endurance between aerobic and anaerobic. So everything in the formal sense of coaching is already a balancing, but also the balancing act between having the self-confidence and to stand up and say what you think and have an opinion about your own training methodology, about your own program. You know why you do this, but also you can be isolated and get into a tunnel vision, falling in love. The worst mistake you can make is falling in love with your own system, think you know it all now. And that's what you see.
100%.
The coaches find out something, have a methodology developed, and they have an athlete and it works. And wow, this is great. This is good. Oh, hey, this is the way to go. And they go this way and they have more success. And then they think, well, basically, this is the best way to go. One step further, it's the only way to go. And the last step, this is the only way to go. Everybody else is an idiot. So always prevent that you fall in love with your own system. Always, you should be your own worst critic, as a matter of fact, and that helps you. Not doubting that you don't know what the hell to do. Of course, you always have a plan, and you know why you do it. But also doubting, where can I improve myself? Where can I get better? And that's what not too many people do. They do it because somebody else tells them. There's no inner voice. We don't listen to our inner voice anymore.
Well, I think that's a great lead into the second one. And before you get me going and talking about the inner voices in my head, we should probably jump over to that one here really quick. But no, I think that, you know, Henk, when we're looking at all this stuff, right, as a guy who is putting together educational things and has been helping coaches grow and develop, and has been open to sharing and been really candid in what he sees and thinks and has learned. I think that, you know, your point of view on this is really important. So when we look at coaches in general, piggybacking what, you know, you were just saying, what advice would you give a coach to help improve their knowledge, you know, along the lines of continuing education and those sort of things, especially if you see people or you talk with people that are maybe in a rut?
Yeah, it's basically educate yourself on a wide area of if you look at the older coaches and the sports scientists in former days, they weren't specialists. They knew a lot of one specific topic, but besides that, they had I would say, a torchlight view on a lot of topics as well. Sometimes they come from completely other fields than sports. I remember one of my mentors, Camila Bosco, studied cultural history, I think, in the past. That's something else than being a sports scientist and knowing everything about explosive strength, muscle fibers, jumping power. You come from a completely different field. So educate yourself to know more about the mental part, about nutrition supplementation, about biomechanics, about biochemistry, about psychology. Educate yourself. That's a wide base, and it helps you to become a better coach. The wider the base, the higher the peak. It's like a pyramid. And some people are like the Tower of Pisa, you know, the tower that's standing this way. The Tower of Pisa, very tall, but it's about to fall down because there's no, the foundation is kind of small and weak, so it's leaning over. It's about to fall. And the pyramid will never fall down because it has a solid base, a solid background. And also what is important, not only the external knowledge, but also know about yourself, who you are, how you are perceived by your athletes, how your colleagues think about you, how your superiors, or it's this all-round view on yourself. Knowing who you are. That's a matter of kind of wisdom that comes with the years also. That's something that at 20 you don't have a clue who you are and probably you don't want to know. There's just a few things in your mind that you want to do. But when you get older, some wisdom and some experience in life is absolutely necessary. In 14 years of taking this sabbatical and not coaching athletes on a daily basis anymore, just helping some athlete, but not being on the track, it was for me interesting to see if I lost it or lost interest in coaching, maybe, because I had a perfect life, coming to Richmond and speaking the seminar, doing all of these things, writing books. It was perfect. So would I still be interested in coaching and being on the track? And if you look at my Instagram, you see on the track yesterday, boy, I was so wet on the track. It rained, it poured, it was unbelievable. So I think, what am I doing here? I have an age that I shouldn't be doing this anymore, or not. Yes, I still want to do it. My motivation is unbroken, but also I learned a lot more. I'm not as probably sharp and I wouldn't call it sharp, but as not eager. Maybe I think 2 seconds longer before I open my mouth, and before I just opened it, and sometimes I stepped on the wrong toes, or especially people who are in charge, the bureaucrats, the federations, and now I just wait 1 second longer before I open my mouth. So a kind of more quiet, even if you don't notice, inside more quiet, not as walking through the wall if I had to. I still do it, but I take a longer approach to go through the wall to get to my goals with my athletes. I still fight for them. So in 14 years, nothing changes, but a certain wisdom, stepping back. What have I done? Where do I come from? Where am I now? And where am I going? Those are 3 important points as well for young coaches. Where do you come from? So where are you now? Are you where you want to be? Are you fed up with your job? Or how is the rest of your life? Are you paying a price for leading this life? Are you paying a price health-wise, socially, family? Many coaches have been traveling for many years, and well, in the end, they end up in family trouble, like many people do, because they're so focused on what they have. So that's something that you also learn throughout the years, because there's more to life than coaching. It's the most important thing, but there's more to it. So you better start thinking about it when you're young.
Oh yeah, and I think that the hard part is you don't see that when you're
young. No, you always figure things out when it's too late. This is the problem of human nature. You figure out you're on the wrong track when your athletes are not performing well, but that mistake has been made 3 months before, when you didn't see it, when you thought, hey, this is going great, I'm such a good coach, and then they fail miserably, and then that mistake has been made before. So always try to plan ahead, let me say.
No doubt, man. No, I'm 100% with you there. Yeah. Well, listen, Henk, this is great. This is awesome stuff as always, but let me get you out of here with this, buddy. The third one question that I think that people are going to be super excited to hear. Yeah. When they roll into Pittsburgh this April, what should they expect from Henk at the seminar?
Okay. I always try to come up with something new they haven't heard before, because I don't like I like the road less traveled. It's a beautiful poem, and some people like to follow others through the road that has been traveled a lot and blindly follow the gurus. I like to think and experience and come up with new stuff that they haven't been told before, because a couple of weeks ago I gave a presentation for physical therapists, and I started PowerPoints completely, like most of the time, by the way, from scratch. There's no picture, no graph, no sentence that I have used before. It was completely new from scratch, because I've never told it before. So I hope that people will be surprised in a positive sense about the things they will hear. that they learn something, and more important also is that they not only learn something in theory, but they will think about it, let it sink in a little bit, and start working about it, because it might be a little bit conflicting or contrary to what they used to do or to what they know. So if that I can do that, then my task is already accomplished. But I promise it will be something good and new. And I still have a couple of months to go, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I'm
So
sure that
there'll be
it's
new
always
things in that time. In the meanwhile, believe me.
100%. And I'm sure as always, Bud, it's going to be something that is going to have people lined up with a couple of soda pops in their hand to say, here, this one's on me. Now let's talk about a couple questions I have based on what you talked
Hey,
about. And I think that's the
perfect.
best part of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll be ready and available in the hotel or whenever you see me, talk to me. Only when you see me sleepwalking in the middle of the night in the hallways of the hotel, don't expect a decent answer from my side. But normally you can talk to me, and well, I hope to drink a few good IPAs with you again. I never forget those meetings. And the best things,
yeah.
yes, indeed, the best things of a seminar like yours, and also like the seminar organized myself, are the things that the ability to ask questions face to face, the questions that aren't answered during the presentation, because it's only a generalized and compressed form of information for basically everybody to take something. But there are always some special things that I didn't address, and you can always ask me anytime. You can always write me or mail me anytime anyway. I'm always this is an important part of my task, education of my colleagues.
Yeah, man. Hank, great to see you. Stoked to get you back in the States, man. This is going to be a blast.
Okay.
April 29th and 30th. And
Okay.
I'm sure we'll be in touch soon, buddy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jay. Okay. Do well. And
Yeah,
looking forward.
always.
Bye-bye.